Well, good evening everyone, Michael Soothing here. I'm just going to look through a couple of the latest popular mechanics magazines today and do a relaxing page-turning commentary on whatever we come across. Joanne is in the Philippines now on an extended visit there. It's been 3 years since she went there. So I'll talk more about that in an upcoming video. Now, those of you who have subscription to both our channels, I don't think you'll see her on for a while, but I'll keep you up to date. So this magazine is about, this one says it's about maps. And yeah. Let's see what they say about maps. The race to make cell-grown meats mainstream. I don't like the sound of that much. News editor. Waiting for my phone to stop ringing so I can go back to snapping pics of my pup. Huh. I guess that's what happens when you're working from home, right? Here's some headphones. Products I'm using right now. Even after sweaty gym sessions, it says here, and long hours in the office, the sound quality of these remains perfect. Now, why would exercise change the sound quality of the headphones? I'm not sure. Maybe you can explain that one to me. Home tobacco flower candle. I buy these 3 or 4 at a time, says Daisy. They smell divine and make any space feel welcoming and cozy. Home tobacco. I kind of like to dodge the smell of cigarette smoke myself, but maybe I'm missing something. This is Sunny, my 3-month-old Australian cattle dog. This sounds kind of self-indulgent to me. That their first page is somebody talking all about themselves. I don't know. An editor. News editor. Big green egg. Look at this thing. An outdoor cooker that's a pressure cooker, it looks like. I would be afraid that it might explode on me. I'm a little leery of pressure cookers, based on stories I've heard in the past. Vans comfy cush sneakers. Somebody threw them over a telephone line or something, though. Get all this and more for less than $1 a week. Should your car have solar panels? The answer to that question, I don't even need to read the article to know. They generate so very little power for the amount of space on the car that they can't really do anything to help. It might be enough to power your radio for a few minutes or, something like that. Hyundai estimates that a full day of good sun will gain 2 miles of range out of the battery. See, that's not very much. But that's for a car in Los Angeles, where it's sunny all the time. And when it's not sunny, there's fires burning and smoke. Anyway, you pay like $10,000 extra or something for the soap. I don't think that's worth it. Somebody's doing mixed drinks. In the blazing summer heat, it says here, nothing feels quite so refreshing as a sparkling cocktail. Well, they look refreshing. But alcohol puts me to sleep. So I think I'm going to pass. This one looks good. It's got a slice of peach in it or something. Bourbon, ginger beer, nah. Oh, that's a peel from a lemon. Forget that. I lost interest. The B-52, America's longest serving plane, and the most badass. Can I say that on YouTube? I think so. I think this thing was built back at the end of World War II, shortly thereafter. Boeing's initial 1948 designs included swept wings and 6 massive turboprop engines. But they changed that design, and now they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 jet engines on that thing. Carries a large payload. It's called a Stratofortress. I'm really into boats, ships, planes, and trains, and automobiles. There was a movie kind of by that name, but it was missing one of those 4 things. So, ships and boats, you can't be missing those. How to use your 4-wheel drive system. Well, you should use it if you're off-road and if you're towing, okay? I can summarize it for you without reading the article. See, I saved you time and money. Well, maybe not money. Official Indian headquarter eagles. Only $295 per coin. Wait a minute. How much gold do you get for that? How many ounces is this thing? Don't miss your opportunity. Oh, I think that's only 1/10 of an ounce. That just won't do. That means you'd be paying $3,000 basically an ounce for gold. Don't do that, even if it is a collectible coin. By the way, gold is going to go up a lot more over the next 2 or 3 years. And silver. I will do another video explaining to you why that is. However, don't buy it on my say-so. Always do your own research before investing, because I will take credit if you make gains, but I will totally disavow anything I said if you incur losses. So I'm not an investment advisor. But I'll tell you what I'm doing with my 401k plan investment sometime soon, and explain why. Basically, I'm buying gold, silver, gold and silver ETFs, gold and silver senior miners, gold and silver junior miners, gold and silver explorer and developer miners. Okay? I've got about an even mix across all of those sectors. And that's about 40% of my total portfolio right now, which shows you how much I believe in that sector at the moment. They're going to be minting money. Why our bodies have gotten colder with each passing decade. Oh, maybe it's because our metabolism slows. I don't know. Or maybe it has to do with global warming. Surely they can work that in here somewhere. The human body temperature measured in 1868, blah, 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 98.6 degrees, has been the gold standard, it says. Well, that's exactly what I measured. They're going to say we're lower now. But I was exactly 98.6 when I had to go to the doctor the other day to have blood drawn for testing, which came out pretty good, by the way. Oh, I forgot to check one of the test They pulled 4 vials of blood for 4 different types of tests. I was really good on things like cholesterol, and I was okay with blood sugar, and doing really well with the blood cancer, blood counts. The only thing bad is IgM. protein in the blood that's about 20 times higher than it should be. Let's see here. Build something useful with Lego. Is that useful? What is it? Kick drum pedal. Okay. They built a kick drum pedal with Lego. But I wonder if that really going to be as strong as, a kick drum pedal made out of solid wood and metal. I don't know. It doesn't say here, I don't think. Charlie, oh look, here it is. Kick drum pedal. Automatic toilet paper dispenser. That's what this one is. Do we really need... You'd have to have a whole big panel on the wall to hold this thing. I think I'll stick with the standard little tube thing. But that's just me. I'm sure you're going to rush out and want to build an automated TP dispenser out of Legos. The history of maps. That was kind of the cover story thing. How far back do maps go? That looks like a really old one, doesn't it? Babylonian map of the world. Look, even the Babylonians knew that the globe wasn't flat. The earth was not flat. Or did they? Let's find out. The oldest surviving world map depicts the worldview of Babylonians from about 600 BC. A 5-inch stone tablet centered around Babylon. Babylon was the center of the universe. Likely the world's most populous city at the time, surrounded by neighboring cities, etc. Though the geography is limited, this map reveals the inherent bias of mapmakers to place themselves at the literal center of the world. Sounds like what flat earthers do today, doesn't it? Ptolemy. I think you're just supposed to say Ptolemy, but I always want to say Ptolemy. Geographia. Geographia. The Greeks were the first known culture to apply a scientific approach to measuring and mapping the world. Pythagoras theorized as early as the 6th century BC that the earth was round. There were a number of reasons they figured that out. You can go back and look at my flat earth videos from a couple years ago if you want to know what the debate's all about. Amongst people today who are pre-6th century BC in their thinking, they think like an infant, maybe from, several thousand years ago. That's how far their intellect has gone. Tabula Rogeriana, the Book of Roger, a Moroccan cartographer, Muhammad al-Idrisi in 1154, compiled this map. It's a bit confusing to me. Where be dragons? Have you ever seen that on the edges of maps where it says, here be dragons? This is a little blurb about it. Let's see what it says. The famous warning, here be dragons, is a map myth. It was never actually written on old maps. Hey, how do they know? Do they have all the old maps ever made in existence? I don't think so. But anyway, let's carry on as if they know. Though a Latin version appears on one 16th century globe, instead, the phrase represents the illustrations of monstrous sea serpents, toothy beasts. I've seen a couple of toothy beasts in modern days. And strange peoples, well, I've seen that too, that frequently adorned medieval and Renaissance maps. So the myth derived from, all these strange creatures and scary people and stuff that showed up on old. Here's a close-up right there. Some of that stuff they're talking about. Anyway, all right. I kind of like to look at maps. I looked up Joanne, where she's staying on the island of Siargao. GL is close by. GL is the town. General Luna. And it was interesting to me because I wanted to picture where she was. So her family runs a nice little family business there that she's going to experiment with. It's called Marmies. So if you're ever in General Luna, which is the surfing and tourism kickback, laid back, beautiful capital of the Philippine Islands, check out Marmies, Marmies. A little home-run family business with homemade, real organic fruit-based popsicles and other desserts and goodies. Joanne's going to introduce some types of slushies and some abiskiba. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. Some Swedish delicacies called abuskiva. Abuskivi? I don't know. Please tell me, you Swedes, or those in Germany who are familiar with it, how to pronounce that. Google Earth Maps. Yeah, I was looking at one in Street View. My house is on Street View, and my previous one was, and my previous one before that was. I looked them all up. I even was able to see my car in the parking lot of my workplace when I worked at Loral Electronic Systems Space and Communications. The future of off-road. So that shows how great the photography ability of satellites is these days. Look at these big off-road vehicles. I think this thing could roll through rivers and stuff like that. I want one that can go completely underwater. You could make an electric vehicle do that if it was perfectly sealed, right? But with a gasoline-powered one, or diesel, I think you'd have to have a big exhaust pipe and air inlet, going way, way up to this above the surface. A snorkel, basically. The race to make cell-grown. Yeah, I had a ribeye steak tonight for dinner, and I had to mortgage the house and get a massive home equity loan in order to buy it, because it was like, $18 for a little steak. I was shocked, absolutely shocked, at how much the price has gone up. And they say there's no inflation. It says here, we're probably still a decade away from lab-grown hot wings, but cultured burgers might be available in the next 2 years. Am I supposed to be happy about that? I'm not. Although would this be vegan? No. It wouldn't be vegan, even though no animal would be sacrificed in the making of it. All right, I want you vegans to tell me about what the ethics of lab-grown meat would be. I guess you would say, well, they had to originally get it from an animal, so it's off limits, right? Before they started the lab-grown stuff. Also on the menu in the future, yummy insects, algae, 3D food printing. Gee, I'm glad I'm not going to live too many more decades. That's all I gotta say. I think the future of cultured meat is premium meat like Wagyu and bluefin tuna. Do you know that one big tuna can cost thousands and thousands of dollars, like tens of thousands. These giant bluefin tuna, if they're high quality. It's still expensive for cultured meat. The current cost of a single nugget is around $50. Well, that's about what I paid for my steak, right? So, and I don't even like chicken nuggets that are 50 cents. So, yeah. Are returning to a habitat lost. Grizzly bears are returning to a habitat lost a century ago. The only problem, we live there now. Human beings are not supposed to live anywhere because it's always messing up somebody's habitat. We're supposed to all go pile up in New York, but given the way New Yorkers are behaving, I think a lot of them are leaving there instead of moving there. In fact, I know that's what's happening. I think something like 500,000 have left in the last few weeks. We saw a grizzly like this crossing the road when we were up in Alaska. And it was interesting to see. Needless to say, if you see a print like this by your back door in the mud, you better put some reinforcement on there. They're capable of busting into a place if they smell food. So look out. One of my favorite films with bears in it, scary bear film. What was the name of it? Anthony Hopkins in a film called The Edge. Check that out sometime. One of the greatest films made with Anthony. It's a good sort of suspense mystery, and it includes a massive bear in the wild trying to eat him. I won't give away any spoilers. Who else is in it? Alec Baldwin plays a jerk, which is a good role for him, I would say. Cycling. Carbon fiber something. Somebody is sauteing mushrooms on a perfectly clean Coleman stove. Something tells me that's not really cooking right now, because everything is spotless. But Yeti, I guess those are well-known coolers that are really good. This looks like one that's actually being used. See? It's got discoloration on the side. Some wicked-looking knives. The best smart locks for your home or rental property. What happens if the power's out? I hope there's a backup plan. You don't want to be locked in or out. I've heard horror stories about Teslas that people couldn't get into, and even worse horror stories of Teslas that people couldn't get out of. So, yeah. But I'm not bashing Tesla. It's a very innovative and incredible vehicle, no doubt. I need a sip. No, the water isn't coming out of the tap slightly yellow. This is the remnants of raspberry something iced tea, into which I dumped some water when it was mostly just ice cubes left. Bring home $100,000 bill. Limited mintage, yours now. Something tells me that's not legal tender. It's minted in 24 karat pure gold. The problem with these kinds of things, if you buy it in a magazine, go look on eBay and you'll see that it's selling for 1/3 of what they charged in the magazine, okay? You're not getting a bargain. The best portable ACs. I need to read this through carefully for my stepmom, because she needs one. Portable AC. Although it's almost winter, how to be good at what you do. Alright. Well, we kind of blew through that one fast. We'll glance through this a bit, this other one a bit, and then I'll wrap it up. I built this boat with a book from 1935, it says here. Let's take a look. Page 46. Oh wait, look. A giant fusion reactor. There's a huge difference between nuclear power that's fission and nuclear power that's fusion. Let me explain the difference to you. Actually, skip that. I don't want to bore myself or you. You can look it up. Okay, anyway, it's going to begin a month-long process of heating up to 150 million degrees Celsius. That's pretty hot, 150 million degrees. And I thought they were having a heat wave down in LA last week. I bet they didn't get to 150 million though. Okay, the magnetic North Pole is racing towards Russia. Look at this. The North Pole is running across here. The flat earthers think that there's probably some little gnomes down beneath the crust of the surface, and they're carrying a big magnet under there and running along here. So it's gone all the way from Canada here, out here to almost the middle of the Arctic Ocean, but it's actually gotten much closer to the real, actual geographic North Pole than where it was, say, 120 years ago when it was over here. So maybe it's just trying to go where it belongs. You know, it got lost. The magnetic North Pole got lost, and it wants to come back to where it's supposed to be. But it's going to have to drop this way some, or I should say, go up some, if we can use the term up relative to the globe. Some people say the poles are going to reverse. And when that happens, all kinds of strange anomalies occur. I like abalone. Is NASA working on a warp drive, it says. I should hope so. Somebody needs to beam us up so that, you know, we can get away from the craziness here. Look here. A wooden rhino made from a laser. You can get several of these because they're only $7,995. And you too can make a sculpture with one, okay? So, 5 technologies we first saw on Star Trek, it says here. What might those be? A cell phone, which they called a communicator, looked like a flip phone, operated like an advanced two-way radio. Tractor beam. In real life, these only work on microscopic particles, not spaceships. But in 2020, they allowed scientists to hold a single atom for the first time. Tablet. Handheld personal access display device, which held reports the crew passed to each other. Yeah, but the comic books, Dick Tracy back in the 50s had like an Apple iWatch, okay, a little TV display on it that did stuff. So We can't give Star Trek all the credit. They had a universal translator so that, they could speak Klingon and stuff. I won't make any bad jokes this time. Graphic user interface on their computers, right? They were ahead of their time, weren't they? Make something old into something cool. That's an old vacuum cleaner. My grandmother had one like this. It had a handle. You had to pick it up and carry it around. Time for another sip right here. Let's listen to the ice for a second. Ear to ear ice. Oh, the ice is melted, so I can't give you ear to ear. But instead I'll do some tapping. Are you getting an ear-to-ear effect or not? I don't know. I bet you will if I do it right on the microphone elements, stereo. Okay, all right, now. Mad Mike Hughes rejected science and chased fame. Did he shoot himself into space? I don't know. The Mojave Desert had cast its spell over Mad Mike Hughes the night he thought to fly to the edge of space. This is like something we could spend a whole ASMR video on. Let me see if I can find where it says something about whether he did it. It says he was a self-taught rocket scientist. He grew up a garage rat in Oklahoma City, forever rattling around the family auto body shop. Like, get to the heart of it. Did he shoot himself into space or not? How Mike and Waldo's rocket worked. The steam-powered rocket operates on the same principle as a jet engine. It uses thrust by expelling gas behind it. Another time I'm going to have to skip the bad jokes. It's Newton's third law of motion. Every action has a reaction. All right, get to the point. Did he shoot himself up there or not? The morning of launch, Hughes heard a hiss, a pin leak in a recent weld. The rocket was leaking steam and was now essentially a pipe bomb that could tear open and explode at any second. Instead of aborting, Hughes ordered the crew out of the area, slapped on his 6-point harness, etc., and hit the launch button. Soon after leaving the launch pad, it went into a horizontal flight and, absent the need to fight gravity, surged up to around 350 miles per hour. Hughes briefly passed out from the G-forces, and dazed, when he came to, he panicked and threw the chute. The parachute, designed to open in airstreams of about 100 miles per hour, shredded. The rocket covered 1,374 feet in 11 seconds, but Hughes hit the ground at 60 miles per hour. It could have and probably should have killed him, but it didn't. He used a walker for 2 months afterwards. Well, he's brave, we'll give him that. That's why they call him Mad Mike Hughes. Yeah, this looks like it would be a good article to do a whole thing about space. Oh, here is the boat that someone built using a book from 1935. It came from an old Popular Mechanic magazine, Plans. This boat looks pretty fancy, doesn't it? I like those old glossy hardwood boats. What's it made out of? Mahogany or something? Let's see. Modernizing the engine. He put a modern Ford V8 in it looks like. Yeah, he's taking a Ford V8 out of this. What is that? A Ford, I don't know, Galaxy or something. Maybe it says here somewhere. Shaping the boat. It does look like old plans. 15 to 45 horsepower motor. The old original plan said. I bet he put a more powerful. That Ford engine's got to be at least 250 or 300 horsepower. Now there he goes, cruising around. He calls it Flash. The boat's name is Flash. Looks quite nice. Defiant versus Valor. Inside the head-to-head battle to replace the Blackhawk. My brother used to fly the Blackhawk when he was an Army pilot. He flew many missions in the Panama and in the First and Second Gulf War. He took rounds in his chopper in the Panama invasion, the Noriega thing. He and his wife got the COVID virus not long ago, but because they're substantially younger than I am, they had no real ill effects. It really only kills off old people with serious health problems, in spite of the scare stories you hear otherwise. But it's done quite a job on the elderly population in the country. I think we're up to about 200,000 fatalities about this time. But never mind the depressing stuff. You get enough of that on the news. Look at all these multi-talented gadgets. See, this is too complicated for me to figure out, so I'll skip it. It's got lots of tools, but most of them don't do the job very well, you know. But I guess it's better than nothing. It would be good to have in your car, for example. Best tents for sleeping under the stars. Well, you're not going to see the stars if you're inside the tent. That's the only problem I have with that. I remember actually sleeping out under the stars and seeing, you know, meteor flashing across the sky. Headphones that turn down the volume on excess noise. Bose has a pair of those, don't they? WeatherTech something. How noise cancellation works. 5 mattresses for your best sleep ever. The first one's called a Tempur-Pedic. What? This thing is $4,700. Are you kidding me? I have a very comfy mattress that costs $300. So that means, but it wears out after a few years, right? So that means the mattress I bought, if it wears out in 5 years, it would take me about 60 years of buying a new one every 5 years before I got to the price of this thing. So I'll stick with buying a new one, and they can haul the old one away. But anyway, never mind that. I'm just being too curmudgeonly, I guess. There's the 9 planets ring again. I want one of those for Christmas. So buy me one of those, please. Thank you. All right. personal dust collector, benchtop, whatever. Hey, what happened to the thing they used to have saying, what's wrong with this picture? I missed that. Or is that in a different magazine? I don't know. All right, everybody. I think that will do it for our page turning. And yeah, I hope this relaxed you. Please give it a thumbs up. This is really long, more than an hour. Don't ASMR and drive. Bye-bye.